Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric, and here it is. We have 1,000 subscribers, so it's finally time for the Q&A special. Okay, I received lots of questions from you guys. Many of them were really great, but a few things I need to point out. First of all, I got a lot of quite weird questions from some people. Some of those I did not really feel comfortable answering, so I'm not going to answer every single question. Pretty much every roller coaster related one, definitely though. A few other things to point out. First of all, I'm sorry I can't do a full recording with my face and all, I just don't have time. So we're going to stick with having POVs on the screen. And the other thing is that some of these questions will be tough to answer. So I'll do my best to answer every single question that I feel comfortable answering. And the one other important thing to know, for those who want to see your question specifically, I'm going to put timestamps in the description that have everybody's name at them. So you will all be able to see your own question and know when it's getting asked. Alright, let's get into it. The first question comes from Candice Barr. I feel like I know that person. Okay, so they say, congratulations. Thank you, Candice. What is the most memorable moment you had at a theme park? Could be funniest, scariest, or worst memory. I've had a lot of memories at theme parks, so it's a tough choice. However, recently, a strong memory would be watching a Top Thrill Dragster roll back at Cedar Point. That was really cool. But strongest memory ever is really tough. Probably my first trip to Busch Gardens has really stuck with me. That's a fun one. I was really young. My first ride in Millennium Force, maybe, because that's something that really clicked for me when I was getting into roller coasters. It's tough, but probably the last one, Millennium Force ride. Okay, American Coaster Enthusiast has a few questions. So, asking for my favorite and least favorite rides from Mac, Intamin, B&M, RMC, S&S, and Vekoma. Okay, I don't know if I've ever done a Mac roller coaster, actually. I gotta think for a second, but I'm pretty sure I've never been on a Mac Rides roller coaster. As weird as that may sound. For Intamin, my favorite is Millennium Force. I like all the Cedar Point ones a lot, but Millennium Force, I just really like that one. I still get great forceful rides to this day. I went to Cedar Point just a few weeks ago, and I still thought it was really great. My least favorite Intamin, though gone now, was Green Lantern First Flight. My favorite B&M is Fury 325. That one's great. My least favorite would be probably the Green Lantern stand-up coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. Favorite and least favorite RMC. Alright, I've only been on 4 RMCs. They're all in my top 10. But my favorite Steel Vengeance, my favorite roller coaster. And my least favorite is Wicked Cyclone. Just barely. Because it kind of slows down at the end, in my opinion. For S&S, I've only been on the free spins, I think. My favorite Joker was the New England one, and my least favorite was the Over Texas one. But that's all I've done for S&S. And for Vekoma, I haven't done great new generation ones, but my least favorite would be Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland, and my favorite would probably be the Flying Cobras at Carowinds, a pretty strong boomerang. I thought it was a good one, and the name is hilarious. Okay, so top 3 bucket list parks is also asked by American Coaster Enthusiast. That's really tough. In the whole world, there's a ton that I'd like to go to. I can narrow it down to individual regions. In US, my top 3 would probably be Fiesta, Texas, Silver Dollar City, and probably Six Flags Great America. I'm not really sure because there's a lot of great ones. In Europe, ones that stand out to me as great seem to be Europa Park, Phantasialand, and probably Energylandia. And then Japan, I've done Tokyo Dome, but the other Japan parks that be bucket list would be probably Disney Sea, Universal Japan, and Fuji Q. Now, thoughts on Busch Gardens Tampa. That is my home park, and it's one of my favorites. My 3rd favorite ever, actually. I think it's really, really great. The roller coasters are really strong, the food is fantastic, the animal stuff's really fun. And there's other great rides like Falcon's Fury. I feel like every aspect of a theme park is done really well here. Even if many other parks have better aspects in just a single field, Busch Gardens is just an all-around really great park. Busch Gardens Tampa is a great home park. Now for my top 10 coasters. Okay. So I'm gonna go from 1 to 10, because that's easier for me to remember. Steel Vengeance is my favorite, followed by Fury, then Millennium Force, Twisted Colossus, Superman the Ride, New Texas Giants, that's a weird one, but I like it a lot, Wicked Cyclone, Ghost Rider, Maverick, and Top Thrill Dragster is my 10th. I think that's the correct order. What's the best inversion element I've ever experienced? I really like the Batwing on Montu. That would probably be my pick. Now for what am I more hyped for, RMC T-Rex or S&S Axis? You know, if I've been on a Raptor, I'd probably say Axis because I know less about what it's like, the experience. I haven't been on either type though, or really just for S&S I've done free spins and I've only done hybrids for RMCs, so what am I more hyped for? I think I probably lean toward, from all the great things I hear about the Raptor, the T-Rex. Thoughts on Six Flags Great America is the next question. I have not been there. However, it looks like one of the best Six Flags parks. A really strong coaster collection, plenty of B&Ms, that's a very good thing. You have an RMC, has a really good complete lineup. And given that rides are the main thing at a Six Flags park, that's really great. Alright, favorite theming on a roller coaster. Revenge of the Mummy, that's definitely it. Outside of Disney and Universal, the big theming ones, Rutschbanen at Tivoli Gardens is a really great one with a mountain theme. Alright, that's all of the questions from American Coaster Enthusiast. Now for Diamondite. Diamondite asks, what is my favorite Disney park, and which international park do I want to go to most? For Disney Park, I've only been to 3, Epcot, Magic Kingdom, and Animal Kingdom. My favorite is Animal Kingdom. And for international park I want to go to most, very tough call, but probably Fantasialand. Now for muchergaming, I think that is how the name would be pronounced. Who's my favorite singer? I've always liked Queen's songs, so Freddie Mercury is a good one. My favorite park is Cedar Point, that's the next question, and bucket list parks. Pretty much every theme park I haven't been to that has a really strong reputation, but namely in the US I mentioned Silver Dollar City and Fiesta, Texas. I should also point out there are a few duplicate questions here. I will be answering those multiple times. Now for Among Us logo. What is my favorite Intamin coaster? I mentioned Millennium Force, that is my favorite. Okay, Sky Guy R12 Turn has a long list of questions. Let's get into it. First of all, parks that could be better than Cedar Point. So none I've been to are better than Cedar Point, but of ones outside, I think if you aren't just looking for rides, Fantasialand and Europa Park seem to have a great balance of rides and also theming. So those could definitely be. Energylandia is really doing well and adding a lot of great stuff. I get Islands of Adventure being considered better, especially if you're really into the theming parts. Top 5 parks in the world for roller coasters. Of ones I've been to, it would be Cedar Point, Magic Mountain, then probably Kings Island, and Great Adventure would be. But I haven't been to all of the parks that have great roller coasters, so in the world that I haven't been to, I'd imagine Fuji Q would be pretty high, and some parks in Europe, like I think Fantasialand seems to have some good stuff. Liseberg looks pretty strong, maybe Portaventura. But the 5th one I've been to that I'd add in, apart from those 2 Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks, would probably be, I'm going to go with, I'm really not sure. I'm probably going to say Canada's Wonderland for now. I think it's an underrated lineup. Anyway, best B&M wing coaster on Earth? Okay, I'm going to say Gatekeeper. That's the only one I've been on. There's some other good ones out there, but I'm going with Gatekeeper. Best B&M dive coaster? Alright, I haven't done all, but from what I've done, SheiKra at Busch Gardens Tampa is my favorite. What will be the next coaster at Carowinds to permanently close? I'd kind of like to see Nighthawk go, honestly. I don't like it. But I think it's more likely we'll probably lose Carolina Cyclone. That may seem weird, but I think there's a bit of space they can work with there. Now for next Six Flags St. Louis coaster to permanently close. Probably one of the 3 wooden coasters. I'm not sure which one has the weakest reputation. I hear some bad things about Boss, but I also don't hear much about Screaming Eagle at all. So it's going to be one of those 2, I think. Next coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg to permanently close. Also tough, because it doesn't seem like there's many that they'd want to close. They don't have a bad ride there, but if they were to close another ride, from what they have, could be Loch Ness Monster. That'd be sad, but that definitely could happen. Next coaster at Dollywood to permanently close. Gee, I'm really not sure on that one. I haven't been on them, and I feel like they've been doing a lot of updates on a lot of their coasters, but they haven't done a whole lot with Tennessee Tornado, so that could be it. Next coaster at Hershey Park to permanently close. I'm banking on Wildcat. Now, do I wish to get the rest of the credits when I return to Denmark in 2022? I'm not going to Denmark in 2022, but I would love to go back and get the rest of credits in Denmark, yeah. Now for That One Coaster Guy. Am I open for collabs? I'm very sorry, but right now I'm working on a few, and I also have a lot of other videos that I'm working on, so I really can't right now. I'm very sorry. Top 5 coaster YouTubers. Okay, so CoasterDash is a really small one, but he's probably my favorite. Theme Park Crazy, Airtime Thrills, Coast Tunes, and there's a lot of good ones out there, but I'm gonna say 5th, probably El Toro Ryan. Alright, favorite SNS free spin. I've only done Jokers, but my favorite is Joker at Six Flags New England. Favorite Vekoma Boomerang, the Flying Cobras. Favorite SLC, I've only done 2, and both were terrible. I did Mind Eraser at New England before it became Riddler's Revenge, and I prefer that one. Now, favorite Hang and Bang, I'm not quite sure what that means unless it's referring to just a ride that bangs your head and is an inverted coaster. My favorite is probably Invertigo at Kings Island. Now for Dawg Coasters, he has a few questions. What editing software do I use? Okay, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I use the default Windows editor. That may seem weird, but yeah, that's what I use. It gets the job done, but that's what I use. Favorite coaster channels? Alright, I mentioned that CoasterDash, Airtime Thrills, Theme Park Crazy, and Coast Tunes are my favorites. Favorite restraints? I like a lot of restraints, honestly. But I think the B&M, Hyper, and Giga restraints are some of my favorites. And favorite coaster cars? That's tough, as it can really depend on what you mean by that. But I like the B&M Hyper staggering seating on some of theirs. That might be my favorite. Alright, I can't think of a name. Asked for my top 5 inversions. You know, that's tough. The Batwing on Montu is definitely one of those. I'd say probably the Dive Loop on Gatekeeper, and I would probably put Full Throttle's Loop. That would be one, definitely. Steel Vengeance's first inversion's really good. And the last one, probably Tatsu's Pretzel Loop. That would definitely be in the top 5. That wasn't really ranked, but those are 5 that really stand out. Now for top 5 elements on Velocicoaster, being asked by Mr. Roller Coasters. A great channel, definitely check him out. Top 5 elements on Velocicoaster, I haven't done it, so I can't really say for sure. Maybe soon, but for now, I can't really answer that. Alright, one question from CoasterDash, my favorite coaster YouTuber. Alright, what amusement parks in North America would I like to get out to most that I don't see myself getting to anytime soon? That's pretty much any theme park I want to go to in North America, because I don't see myself getting to a lot of parks. I'll say probably the Hersham Park, Silver Dollar City, and Dollywood are 2. Those are ones I don't see myself really getting to. The next set of questions comes from Zach Guest. What parks do I plan to visit in the future that I haven't been to? You know what? I really don't have a whole lot of plans to get to theme parks in the future. I do have plans to travel to a few places, but I don't really have any theme parks in mind specifically. Have I ever checked out the band The Misfits? A horror-themed band, and they have three different bands that cover Metallica. No, Metallica covers their songs. I've heard of The Misfits. Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Did I ever check out his brother's band, Skullfist? Yes, I have heard of them, actually. They're pretty good. I like heavy metal, and I like that there's still some heavy metal out there. Do I think Michigan's Adventure will ever get big coasters? No, I really don't think it's going to get them for a while. I think one day they have to, because in 50 years, I really doubt if the park is still there. They're going to have the exact same coaster lineup, or less coasters, but you never know. But I feel like they must have one at some point, but not in a very long time. Where do I think Wicked Twister will move? You know, I was initially saying Michigan's Adventure, but then I was told they have a height limit there, so that is not happening. I would say probably Worlds of Fun or California's Great America. Those are good suitors for a new roller coaster. I'd also say Dorney and Valley Fair, but of course they already have Impulse, so there's no way it's going there. Now for, do I think King's Dominion will get a replacement for Volcano? I do. I initially thought Tombeely was going to be that, then I heard they were replacing the Crypt with that, and that sucks for me because I like the Crypt a lot. But, you know, I think they will replace Volcano eventually. And finally, do I think Cedar Point will get anything to replace Wicked Twister? You know what? I'm really banking on a 2023 new coaster. Our next set of questions is from Coaster Enthusiast. First, would I rather marathon a horrible RCCA coaster or get on Fast and Furious Supercharged again? Okay, that's tough. I haven't been on any RCCAs, but I know Coaster Express at Parque Warner is one. So I'm basically thinking, would I rather marathon that or ride Fast and Furious again? If I'm only riding Fast and Furious once, I would rather ride that than marathon the Coaster Express multiple times. What is my favorite fight scene in Avatar The Last Airbender? Okay, for those who don't know, I do like Avatar The Last Airbender. My favorite scene would be the final battle, Aang vs. Ozai. That's a really good, awesome fight scene. My favorite in Legend of Korra? Probably the fight scene in Enter the Void in Season 3 with Red Lotus and all, for those who know the show. Alright, do I have a Reddit account? I mean, I do, but I really don't use it. It's only if I have some question and I can't think of anywhere else to find the answer. At what age did I become a coaster enthusiast? It would have been 2014, so I would have been 9 years old. What Six Flags park do I think will get a launch coaster first, over Georgia or New England? Honestly, I kind of feel like over Georgia. I was about to say New England, but then I thought, I don't think they're going to put a launch coaster in the Goliath area, and I feel like over Georgia could use that kind of roller coaster more than New England, as they don't. Over New England already has like all the manufacturers that do launch that they would want. I don't think they're going to be working with Mack Rides on a launch coaster, in my opinion, but yeah, I'm going to go with over Georgia. Do I play Planet Coaster? No, I do not own that. And do I play Smash Ultimate? If so, who do I main? So I do play Smash Ultimate. I don't own a Switch, so it's really just with my friends, but Coaster Enthusiast also says they main Pikachu. You know what? Pikachu is one of my mains as well. If I'm just playing for fun, though, it's either Pikachu or Toon Link. I don't know why I like Toon Link, but I do. And if I'm playing seriously, I honestly play as Peach. Coaster 360 questions. What editor do I use to make my videos? Alright, I previously answered Windows default video editor. And question 2, when did I get interested in roller coasters? Quite a story, actually. I think I must have been 7 or 8 years old. I watched one of those clickbait videos with the crazy rides, and I thought, whoa, those look awesome, I want to ride those. I start watching more and more of them, and I see that a bunch of them are at Cedar Point. My dad's like, hey, want to go to Cedar Point? I'm like, yeah. So my first trip to Cedar Point is really what got me super interested in theme parks, and since then I've been to quite a few. Alright, EliteCoasters is another very good channel, by the way. 5 best elements I've experienced. The Outer Bank Curve on Steel Vengeance is definitely one. There's a lot of others, but I gotta think, honestly. Millennium Force's first drop. Top Thrill Dragster's launch. Yeah, all Cedar Point so far. Maverick's second launch is definitely one. Probably the first Airtime Hill on Superman the Ride. And Mako's second half as a whole is really great. That's a tough one. There's a lot. Alright, top 5 best coaster elements in the world prediction, also from EliteCoasters. That is tough. In the world, there's a lot of really good ones, but I think the Outer Bank Curve and Steel Vengeance. Probably the DC Rivals, non-inverting loop, and also the Twisted Drop on that one. I'm really not sure I can think of more because there's so many great elements, but those are some standouts. And also the other ones I named at Cedar Point. But there's a lot. If I could choose to create a park but only have 4 coasters, what would they be? I could just immediately go the route of saying the ones I like most: RMC Hybrid, B&M Giga, Intamin Hyper, B&M Flying Coaster, and Intamin Launch Coaster. But I think if I wanted to make a full rounded park, I would remove the Flying Coaster, and that would be the top 4. But for a well-rounded park, I would still put in a B&M Giga and an RMC Hybrid, even if it's a smaller one. I'd also add in probably a GCI wooden coaster, and then maybe a more family-based launch coaster like Cheetah Hunt. Best color scheme on a coaster. I tend to like most blue ones, but I think the best are Fury, Mako, and Banshee. Zadra or Lightning Rod, I haven't done either, but I'm going to be honest, Zadra, I really think Zadra looks better. For main reason, I think it looks longer. It looks to have much bigger elements in a good way, and I don't hear great things about Lightning Rod compared to what I used to hear anymore. Alright, Untamed or Twisted Timbers, I haven't done either. I hear some really good things about Untamed, but I'm kind of leaning toward Twisted Timbers. Skyrush or I-305, I've only done I-305, and based on that, I would say Skyrush, because I hear the airtime's great on Skyrush, and Intensity also, so I would go with Skyrush if it does have that. Pyrenees or Katoon, only based on what I hear again, Katoon. Would I rather have a coaster that focuses on airtime and has a bit of everything else, or a really well-rounded coaster with a little airtime? The first option would be my choice. Airtime is my favorite thing to experience on a coaster. It's part of the reason why Steel Vengeance is my favorite. And if it has a bit of everything else too, that's great. A well-rounded coaster is strong too, but I feel like I'd rather have a lot of airtime. Another, what is better? Top 20 to 25 coaster in the world in terms of layout with top-notch theming, or top 10 to 15 coaster in the world with no theming. So, a good way to think of it would probably be Velocicoaster, or, like Velocicoaster. Probably a good thing to compare would be, I don't know, Velocicoaster might even be outside of top 20, probably is, but if it's only 10 spots below and it has amazing theming, I think I'd rather have the theming plus being one of the top 25 best layouts in the world. And finally, what's my favorite Joe Biden quote? I'm fine with answering that. It would probably be the "Corn Pop was a bad dude" quote. Alright, Zero G Coasters. Should pineapple go on pizza? If you want it. I don't really mind it on pizza, but I don't mind anything on pizza, so I'm not the best person to ask, but if you like pineapple on pizza, you can put it there. If you don't like it, don't eat it. What's my favorite wooden coaster, not including hybrids? I haven't done a ton of great wooden coasters, but Ghost Rider is the one that's really great that I've done at Knott's Berry Farm. Fantastic. What's my number 1 bucket list park outside of the U.S.? That is so tough. But of all outside U.S. parks, I think I would most want to go to Fantasia Land. And congratulations on 1K. Can't wait to see what future content I have. Thank you. Front Seat Coasters. What's the worst coaster I've been on? Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland. What's my favorite Intamin? Controversial, but Millennium Force. I did note that. What is my favorite B&M Hyper? Diamondback. Mako is in a close second, but Diamondback is my favorite. And what is my favorite park? Cedar Point is my favorite theme park. Alright. So I have some more from that one coaster guy. There's what is my credit count? That would be 179. So I haven't done as many as some, but a decent amount. What's my top 5 coasters? Alright, so I mentioned top 10 earlier, but the top 5 was Superman the Ride, Twisted Colossus, Millennium Force, Fury, and Steel Vengeance. Top 5 parks? Alright, from 5 to 1, it's Kings Island, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Busch Gardens Tampa, Tivoli Gardens, and Cedar Point. How old am I? I'm 16, and my home park is Busch Gardens Tampa. Alright, that's all those questions. Now for Soup. Now, I'm not going to answer all of Soup's questions, I'm afraid, but I will be answering, if I could only eat one soup for the rest of my life, what would it be? Chicken noodle would be my choice. Which of my subscribers has the best content? I don't know everyone who subscribed to me, but Cedar Flags and AmusementInsider are subscribed to me, I know, so that's probably 2 that's really good. Alright, so now for Mike David. Mike David asked, am I going to make videos about Kings Island and its rides? Okay, so it's your home park, you've been there many times, that's great. I have not been to Kings Island since they made Mystic Timbers, so I can't talk too much about those, honestly. But I do have another park battle with Kings Island in the works, and I will be talking about it. Alright, Max Thrills. A few questions. First, has a bug ever hit me on a roller coaster? I think so, only once. It was on I-305. I got hit by some flying object, and man, it hurt. It could have been a bug, it could have been something a bit larger, I don't know for sure. Now, do I have roller coaster posters or merchandise in my room? Let me take a quick look around to see what posters I have, because I know I have some. Okay, apparently I have no roller coaster posters in my room, but I do have merchandise. My closet's in my room, so I have a lot of Cedar Point t-shirts, Magic Mountain t-shirt, Canada's Wonderland t-shirt. For merchandise, I have some of those, like, track models that you have for Millennium Force, Top Thrill Dragster, and Maverick. And possibly my favorite piece of merchandise, a Cedar Point snow globe that has Mantis on it. That is really awesome because it feels like a time capsule because it has Mantis. Do I enjoy eating sushi? Indeed I do. Not as much as my sister, who is nuts for sushi, but I like it a lot. And what is my favorite video on my channel? That's really tough. Because honestly, my favorites are the ones that I spend the most time on, which always seem to be the ones that get the least views. But I probably most enjoy making the YTPs. So I think my favorite video on my channel is the first YTP I finished. The Coaster Studios Top 25 one. That one I quote around my house all the time, and everyone in my family would talk about that. So that's my favorite one. I don't think it's technically my best video. I think I put a lot of effort in my top 20 Cedar Point ride one, but the Coaster Studios one is one of my favorites. Alright, Kobe Kolb. If I could only go on one roller coaster ever, what would it be? And that is referring to ones that I have done before. So, one last time. Gee. Steel Vengeance would be the roller coaster. And if I could only go to one theme park ever, what would it be? It would probably be one I haven't been to because I like Cedar Point a lot, but I'd still want to go to a new one. And I'm probably going to go with Fantasialand. And question 3, do I think Iron Gwazi will be better than Steel Vengeance? I don't, honestly. Then again, I didn't think anything would top Fury 325, but Steel Vengeance did, so maybe. But I think it just doesn't have quite as many elements or airtime. Alright. Next questions are going to be from Coaster Cosmo. Coaster Cosmo says, Grizzly is the worst thrill coaster at King's Dominion. Thoughts? I prefer it to Anaconda. I don't like Anaconda much. Number 2, Adventure Express is the worst coaster at Kings Island, in my opinion. Thoughts? I disagree. Adventure Express is not a bad ride, though I think, honestly, they've closed their worst one, Vortex. I even have a picture of me giving a thumbs down in front of Vortex, but I think my least favorite of the thrill coasters they have, you know what? I mean, Flying Ace, Aerial Chase, and Woodstock Express are worse than Adventure Express, but if it were to just be Thrill Coaster, maybe Adventure Express is the worst. Favorite coaster that has wing seating that spins that's not named after anything DC? X2. Haha, I got you there. I thought you were just thinking of the S&S free spins. But yeah, X2 is better than the free spins. Favorite coaster at King's Dominion? Dominator is my favorite. If I were ranking coasters, I-305 would be number 1. But I like Dominator more. Because I just had more fun on it. Even though I-305 is undoubtedly the better coaster with the better experience. And favorite coaster at Kings Island? Diamondback, but I haven't been to Kings Island since Mystic Timbers opened. Jay Scott has a few questions. What type of coaster do I see BGT adding after Iron Gwazi? I did make a video on this, actually, and the ones I see being possibilities are B&Ms more, honestly, because I think SeaWorld works with B&M really well. I possibly see a Hyper or a Wing coaster. The big issue is where they'd fit it, especially given the fact that there's animals in certain areas. But if they could somehow work a Wing coaster into the animal area, make it like a flying safari type thing, that'd be really awesome. What is my credit count? 179. How many different parks have I been to? 28, I believe. Not a ton, honestly, compared to some of the other bigger YouTubers. And how old am I? 16. Alright. Jesse's Unboxing Studio. What is my favorite ride at SeaWorld? I've only done SeaWorld Orlando, so Mako is my favorite. Do I support or agree with any parks who keep wild animals as attractions? I am alright with wild animals being kept, because I think in most cases, the theme parks do just as good a job, if not a better job, at making the animals feel less in captivity than a zoo does. Busch Gardens, Animal Kingdom, they both do a really good job overall. SeaWorld, I think some of the animals they choose to do tricks with, I don't like, but I'm fine with having animals in a theme park, and I really like getting to see animals in theme parks even. And if I wasn't doing what I am now, what else would I be waiting to do? If you're referring to if I wasn't doing YouTube right now, what would I be wanting to do? I want to travel even more than I do. I like traveling a lot, but honestly, I don't really know what I want to do. I really enjoy YouTube, and it's what I'm probably going to do for a little while. Coaster Hour, another great channel, has a few comments. Memorable queue line experience. Let me think. There's been a few. I mean, theming in a queue is always a standout. But I'd have to think probably this one time on Revenge of the Mummy. Interesting, actually. We were in the single rider line. It was longer than the standby line. So at a certain point, we somehow were able to cut into the standby line without anyone noticing. I feel terrible about that, but it's 2 people. It didn't waste too much time for other people. So that is probably the most memorable. I mean, there was a time when I was next in line for Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast, and there was a power outage and we got off. Basically, anytime I'm in the queue for Top Thrill Dragster, I remember what happens, because I've been sitting in the car and then the ride would break down. Alright, favorite film I've seen this year. I haven't seen a ton of films, but The Mitchells vs. the Machines was a pretty good one. And hobbies outside of coasters. I like photography a lot. I enjoy travel. And I just like reading about random topics, honestly. Alright. Now, Z Sullivan 27. Dominator is the most underrated coaster at King's Dominion. What do you think? You will be happy to hear that I 100% agree. It is the most underrated coaster I've ever been on. I would rather ride it than any other B&M Floorless. I think it's the best B&M Floorless. It's a really great ride. I like everything about it. CoasterReaviews asked, do I think Kumba is overrated? Why or why not? You know what? That's tough. Because I hear a lot of people saying it's the best coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa and one of the best B&Ms. I don't agree with that, so yes, I do think it's overrated. As someone who rides Kumba a lot, it gives bad rides. You have to go in one of the front rows if you really want to enjoy it. But I don't think I've ever had a ride without headbanging on Kumba. I've come close, but you know, I do think it's a bit overrated. The other question from CoasterReaviews, do I think that the announcement for Fiesta Texas means Six Flags will continue to work with B&M, or is it a one-time deal? Well, you know, I don't think it's a one-time deal, as I think a lot of times when a manufacturer starts working with a company again, they work for a little while. I mean, RMC is a good example. They're still working. I think more B&Ms could come to Six Flags parks. I think St. Louis is a good contender for one. Alright, now for Games World. Have I been on a cruise? I've been on a couple, actually. I've done a few Caribbean ones, and then I've also done one Mediterranean and one Alaskan. Alaskan was my favorite. Number 2, if I've been to Carowinds, what is my favorite coaster? Fury is my favorite at Carowinds. How many credits do I have? 179. And what sparked my interest in theme parks and coasters? I mentioned this story before, but I was watching a clickbait coaster video. I thought it looked so cool. I wanted to ride the coasters in there. Many were at Cedar Point. So my dad took us to Cedar Point, and that is really what got me into theme parks. Petros is one question. As far as I know, what was the first coaster I've been on? I remember, actually. It was Scorpion, on my first trip to a theme park ever. It was a bit bumpy, but I did like the ride. Alright, I have a few weird questions from Randy. I will answer 2 of them. Do I like Dr. Pepsi? I don't think I've ever tried that, actually. And do I like bread? You know what? It always goes bad too fast, so I don't really like bread, honestly. Alright. Next, Hangtime Thrills. The longest list of questions so far. I'm going to quickly count how many there are. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 questions. What is my favorite and least favorite theme park? My favorite is Cedar Point, and my least favorite is probably just Zoomer's Family Amusement Park. Really tiny one, I doubt any of you have heard of it. It's not really that great. Favorite and least favorite movie? My favorite is The Dark Knight, and also I like Star Wars A New Hope. And my least favorite? I've seen a few bad movies, but probably like the Emoji Movie would be a least favorite. Favorite and least favorite flat ride? My least favorite flat ride. You know, I find the one kind of boat ride thing at New England to be really painful. So that might be it. My favorite flat ride, if we're not counting drop towers, it would be probably Vertigo. Yes, Vertigo, even counting drop towers. Vertigo at Tivoli Gardens is my favorite one. Favorite, least favorite water slide. My favorite water slide is Colossal Curl at Adventure Island. Though I do like some water coasters. If I was to count water coasters, I would say probably the one at Great Wolf Lodge in Niagara Falls. Least favorite water slide is this one at Legoland's water park that's super uneven. Alright, favorite and least favorite events. Example, Fright Fest at Six Flags. I haven't done a lot of events, so I don't have a least favorite, but my favorite is Christmas Town at Busch Gardens, Tampa. What coaster-related games do I play? Only Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. That's the only one I own. Least favorite B&M? Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. Favorite and least favorite manufacturer? My favorite's B&M for their variety of really great models. And they have some really strong coasters. And my least favorite manufacturer is Vekoma. I have not experienced any of their new coasters, though. So I cannot say they are the worst manufacturer. They're just my least favorite. Least favorite Intamin, Green Lantern First Flight. Now that that's closed, I don't really have a least favorite. Least favorite Vekoma coaster. If I'm not counting Goliath, it doesn't matter. Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland. Least favorite Premier Rides coaster. Darn, I've only done good Premier rides, but Tigris is my least favorite. It's not a great ride. It's good, though. Least favorite RMC, Wicked Cyclone. But again, that's like being in the top 10 movies ever and asking what my least favorite of the top 10 is, because all RMCs are great that I've done. Least favorite Skywarp coaster, never done one. Least favorite Arrow. Well, Vortex is gone. That would have been it at Kings Island. But now it's Corkscrew, even though it's really not as bad as I remember. Least favorite Togo. And Hangtime Thrills guesses that it is Big Apple Coaster. I have never done a Togo. I've been to Vegas, but I did Adventure Dome and Stratosphere instead. So, no, I do not have a least favorite Togo because I've never done one. Baba Booey has a few questions. If the universe was born at the Big Bang, what existed before then? No clue. What is my favorite video on my channel? Probably my Coaster Studios YZP. I can't think of a name has another question. What coaster made you an enthusiast? Millennium Force was the one. That's the ride that really got me into it. And I have more from Baba Booey. Favorite fast food restaurant? In-N-Out Burger is definitely my favorite. Its burgers are amazing. Another question from the Among Us guy. What's my favorite video I made? Alright, I did mention that it is the Coaster Studios YTP Top 25. One more from Dawg Coasters. Explain why I don't like acrophobia. Alright, for those who don't know, that is the drop tower at Six Flags Over Georgia. And indeed, it is my least favorite drop tower. Why? The seating. I thought it was the most painful drop tower ever. Some disagree, but I don't know. It felt like being on a stand-up coaster if you weren't on the ground, so you're just falling into the seat in a really bad way. So that sucked. And the rest of the drop tower is not the most forceful, so it's not that great. But you know, that's it. I just don't like it that much. Okay? Big Bagel Sausage Boy alerts Albert Samson. Asked a bunch of questions about Neil Breen. I've never seen his movies. I've heard of him, but never seen. Coaster Cloud asked, what is your dad's credit card number? I'm sorry, I don't know. Kenny Havoc is the final question of the whole thing. What is my favorite manufacturer? I mentioned B&M is my favorite. And that is all of the questions. This ended up being a really long video. But thank you for sticking through it if you did. I really hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have plenty of videos on the way. I'll see you next time.